Hello and welcome to episode 57 of the Victorian Studio podcast. My name is Maureen and I'm coming to you from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada on Sunday, February the 5th, 2017. Welcome to all new and returning viewers. I hope you enjoy your visit with me in my studio today. I have a bunch of knitting to share with you, but even more other crafts, knitting related crafts that I thought I would share with you this week. So I hope you enjoy seeing those. Well, over the last couple of weeks, it's been kind of tumultuous over here in the studio. One of our cats, we have two now, Tawny and Dakota. And Tawny is our rag doll. She's about 10 years old and started developing some scary symptoms. So I took her to the vet a couple of weeks ago. And she needed some surgery the next day. So it was quite stressful to see her have to go through all the checks and everything at the vets and, of course, surgery. But happy to say she's doing a lot better. And yesterday she even had all of her staples removed. She had some bladder stones. And because being a rag doll, apparently, cats that are of Himalayan descent, especially females, are more prone to bladder stones because of the formulation in cat food nowadays. So poor Tawny had about 20 staples in her tummy. She was opened up stem to stern in a very long surgery. But the people at Winrose Veterinary Hospital over here in Winnipeg were just wonderful. And they took really good care of her. We were able to bring her home that night. I took the day off the following day, a vacation day, to be with her and make sure that she was okay. Only had a few hours sleep that first night because she was all hyped up from the medication and everything. But after that, she was doing really well. Unfortunately, had to wear one of those Elizabethan collars or plastic cones. And poor thing, it took her a while to get used to walking around and not walking into things wearing that. But yesterday she was very pleased to finally have that removed once her staples were out. So now that she's on a special diet, and I have to give her a pill every morning. And so this morning was the first time I did that, and that was quite the adventure. Giving a cat a pill is not the easiest thing. And I had to follow it down with a couple of shots, a couple of syringes of water to make sure that she swallowed that. So needless to say, there was water all over the place, but I was able to give her pill and get that water down, and she seems to be taking it fine. So as the vet said, she'll get used to that routine. I have to do that every morning, half an hour before I feed her. So poor thing, after I gave her pill, she was standing by her bowl wondering why I wasn't feeding her yet. So hopefully we'll get into a routine with that, and then she'll be checked out in a couple of weeks to make sure that her calcium levels are back down to normal again. So needless to say, if I wasn't already white-haired, I certainly would have gotten a lot more white hair over the last couple of weeks with all the worry. But there was a lot of cat cuddles the last couple of weeks. It's kind of hard to knit while you're cuddling a cat. So also a lot of my projects have a lot of cat hair in them because I was trying to knit while she was being very cuddly on my lap almost all the time. All her waking hours are almost always on my lap. So glad to say the worst is over with that, but it was a very eventful couple of weeks, that's for sure. Let's see. Other than that, over the last few weeks, I've been busy not only getting a little bit of knitting done, but even more crafting prizes for the Harry Potter Year Long Knit Along in the Victorian Studio podcast group. And I've been having lots of fun doing that. I've already shown in previous episodes doing some mold making, sculpting, and that kind of thing, creating stitch marker sets. And I can't wait to show you some other sets that I've created over the last few days. Finally got some materials that I was waiting for from overseas. They arrived actually just the day after the last podcast episode, so I've had lots of time to create some other goodies I can hardly wait to give away to all the wonderful people who are participating in that knit along. So if you haven't yet gone over to the thread on Ravelry, please do check out the Victorian Studio podcast group. There's a thread explaining all about the Harry Potter knit along all year. It's running till December the 31st. It's never too late to join. I often get PMs over on Ravelry asking if it's too late to join, and of course it isn't. You can join anytime. So we've already had well over 500 entries, discussions, posts in the thread over on the group, and so that's just been wonderful seeing all the projects and all the participation and chatter. So a little bit later in the episode, I'm going to be awarding the first prizes, the ones for January, so stay tuned for that. Let's see. Also, I wanted to thank so much a couple of podcasters who mentioned my podcast in their latest episodes, and I really do appreciate their very sweet comments. First was Lisa, or Saratoga Knitting, in her Knitting by the Sea podcast. She's been very sweet in mentioning my podcast and the Harry Potter Knit Along. She is a fellow Harry Potter devotee, so thank you so much, Lisa, for that. That's very kind of you. And of course, Marlisha and Talia, thank you again for mentioning the knit along, and also for your well wishes for Tawny as well. That was very sweet of you on your last episode. So let's see. I also wanted to thank Sarah Hepworth. Very kindly gifted me a pattern a few weeks ago, and I wanted to mention it on my podcast because I want to pay it forward and gift somebody else this pattern. So she had gifted me the Mia pattern, and it's a hat pattern, and I'll put a picture in here. And this is a pattern from Erin Donahue. She is Gimme Yarn. Can't remember the numbers after her name. I'll put it on the screen here. And she has Thank God It's Finished podcast. All the proceeds from her patterns this year are going to her 6-month-old nephew's medical expenses to battle brain cancer. So what I thought I would do is give away 4 copies of her Mia pattern to our Victorian Studio podcast viewers. So I'll start a thread over in the group, and I'll draw for 4 winners of those patterns from that thread on the next episode. So if you would like to have this pattern, if you don't have it already, just enter there, and I will do a random drawing of 4 winners for those. So I'd like to see as many people help Erin in this wonderful cause of hers. So I'll also put a link to her podcast and her group in that thread as well. So thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate you gifting me this pattern. It looks very, very nice. Also, speaking of gifted patterns, in our group, one of our members created a sock pattern, and it gave our group members a very special deal on this. I think that's finished, but I wanted to mention it anyway because they look awesome. This is Hagrid's cottage-inspired socks, and again, I'll put a picture up here on that. Now, I don't have her name on this pattern, it looks like. I will put it down here on the screen. But I wanted to thank her very much for this wonderful pattern that she designed for the Harry Potter knit along, and I really hope that she does well in selling this pattern now, because she was very, very generous in giving it away when it was first published. So thank you very, very much. A couple of other patterns that I picked up over the last couple of weeks. Mina from the Knitting Expat podcast was having a special this past week on donating, I believe it was 50% of her patterns to the American Civil Liberties Union. And she was able to do that donation, so that I believe is finished. But one of the patterns that I got a couple of them, but one I thought was very appropriate, especially for the Harry Potter knit-along, is she has some Diagon Alley socks. And again, I'll put a picture here of them. And I thought this would be great to make over this year's Harry Potter knit-along as well. So I thought that was very appropriate to pick up. And also during the Loops Harry Potter term this past fall, I won a pattern, so that was wonderful. So Melanie Berg emailed me and sent me the Threshold pattern, and this looks very interesting, a very beautiful sweater. Again, I'll put a picture here with this diagonal stitching on it, like diamonds on it. Looks awesome, so I'm hoping to knit that up. So thank you so much to the Loops, Lydia at Loops, for choosing me as one of the winners, and also to Melanie for the pattern. So that was really awesome. So before I get to my knitting projects this week, the eagle-eyed among you may notice there's something different in the background here. I don't usually have any tea or other drinks that I drink on air during my podcast, but I thought this week was something very special, and I made myself my very own butterbeer. And this mug is one that I got in Orlando at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And for the first time, I thought I would try making my own real butterbeer. So I'll sip on that a little bit later. And there's a very special reason why I made that I'll show you a little bit later in the episode. So hopefully I don't tip that over while I'm showing you my knitting. So let's see. The one project that I did finish since the last episode were my Dumbledore's Christmas stockings. And this is a very special project because not only was the pattern, but the yarn are from Erica Lueder. So let's see, I will get out that pattern. Now this is very similar to the Hermione's Everyday Socks. The pattern is just a little bit different on the foot and leg, but it's again a free pattern from Erica. I'll put a color picture up here of it. But I wanted to get this finished by the end of January because I'd entered it into a class over at the Harry Potter Knit and Crochet Cup. So I was very happy that I did meet that deadline. And I had started these in January after receiving this beautiful Dreams in Fiber, one-of-a-kind, golden snitch colorway from Erica. And Erica was so very generous in not only sending me some yarn that I had ordered, as I mentioned in the last episode, but 2 free skeins of yarn, and this was one of them. And this golden snitch is just incredibly beautiful, and I thought would be perfect for the Dumbledore socks. And I made the socks purposely a little bit shorter so I'd have plenty left over for another project. So I have 43 grams still left of this. But this is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. And so, as you can see, these socks really are very, very special. And I know I'm just going to love wearing them. My apologies if any of my bags or my projects have cat hair on them this week. As I said, Tawny was very, very cuddly this week, and I've been picking cat hair off of everything I've been touching and wearing and working on. So Erica's pattern is wonderful. The only thing I changed was I did a 2x2 rib at the cuff as my normal. I prefer that. And I think that's it. I made them just a little bit smaller. In her pattern, you can do a different series of patterns. She gives you different options. So I did option A, and you do it both front and back for the leg of the sock, but you only do it on the front of the sock when you're doing the foot. The bottom of the sock is just stockinette, which I prefer. I don't like having a pattern on the bottom most of the time, so this was very nice. And regular rounded foot, and of course her heel flap and gusset, which I really love doing. So that was really nice. And so yeah, I was able to put that into both a class at the Harry Potter Knit and Crochet Cup, but also submitted it for what's called Marauders Missions, and that's a few of us that are trying to knit a certain amount of yardage from now till March 31st. So this was one of my first entries for that. So that was the only project that I got completed over the last little while. I did get some work done on another pair of socks, and that was my Christmas cast-on socks. Now these started out in life as the Dumbledore's socks, but the pattern and the yarn just weren't jiving, so I decided just to do plain vanilla socks using Fibernymph's colorway for Christmas. This is from Lisa at Fibernymph Dyeworks. I split this up into 2 smaller balls, and this is her You're So Scrooged colorway. And I just love it because it's got the coal black as well as the red and green, and it's got 2 shades of green in the self-striping, of course, light green and a darker green. This is on her bounce base, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. So I'm doing them as I usually do. If you've been here before, you know I knit 2 at a time, but on separate needles, so they're done concurrently. And right now, all I have left of these is to do the toes, so I'm really thrilled with that. I would have finished these sooner, but I wanted to make sure I met the deadline for the other socks. So these don't have a deadline. So as I said, I'm just doing plain vanilla and the 2x2 cuff, stockinette, doing the German short row heel, which I really love the way these turned out with the self-striping. I'm really pleased with also how they're matching up. They both seem to be going the same pattern, matching pretty closely. And the other thing I love about the self-striping yarn is I don't have to do any counting. As soon as I figured out how long I needed them before I start doing the toe decreases, I knew that I just had to go down to the same amount, that same stripe on the second sock. So I didn't have to worry about doing any counting. So those should be completed by the next episode. So other than socks, I thought I would do something completely different. And for the Harry Potter House Cup classes for February, one of them wanted us to do something that contained something else. So what I thought I would do is a pouch bag, a knitted bag. So I looked on Ravelry and found a free pattern and picked up some yarn just at Michael's, just some Patton's yarn. So I started this just yesterday. I started it, and the pattern is called the HP House Fair Isle Pouch Bags. I'll put a picture of it in color here so you can see it better. And it suggests using larger needles, but the yarn that I'm using, I wanted to make sure that it was nice and tight and a thicker, stiffer fabric. So I'm using size 4 or 3.5 millimeter needles with this pattern, this Patton's Classic Wool. So these are the 2 colors that I found at Michael's yesterday. And the first one is Claret, and this one is Gold. And I thought those were perfect for the Gryffindor, of course. What else did you expect? Colorways. Now this pattern it shows on the front the Gryffindor symbol, but in the patterns it gives you patterns for, of course, all 4 houses. Hufflepuff, the Gryffindor first, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and then of course Slytherin. So you can do them in the house colors. And just in a few hours I got a fair amount done. Now because this is knit in the round and stockinette, it was curling up on me. So what I decided to do was, after I did a few rows, I sewed the bottom of the pouch together because it was curling up quite badly and I thought it would be difficult to show on the podcast. So I just did a simple whip stitch along the bottom, and I don't think I'll have to take that out again. I know the pattern suggests that you can line this bag with fabric or something else, but I don't think I'll need to. Because it's the Fair Isle knitting, it does make quite a thick, stiff fabric. So that's all I've gotten completed so far, but it's about almost a quarter of the pattern already done, and I'm doing the pattern both on the front and the back. You just do the same chart twice over, and yeah, it seems to be going along pretty quickly. So I'm really loving using this. This is a DK yarn, so it's going fairly quickly. It's a DK Superwash, and these are 50-gram balls, so I got 2 of each color, so I'm sure I'll have plenty. And I believe the pattern suggests that you do a crochet strap for it, but I think I may do, like some of the people have done, an I-cord on it, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do, some of them have a fringe or tassels on the bottom. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not. And there's suggestions for either inserting a zipper at the top, or I was thinking I have some really nice brass buttons with lions on them, so I may just make an I-cord little loop and put a button or 2 on the top to close it up. So yeah, I have to get this finished by the end of February to submit for that class. So like I say, just a few hours, I got almost a quarter of it done, so I think this should go pretty quickly. But I really do love doing the color works. So that's one of my new projects that I started over the last little while. And the last one is something I've wanted to do for quite a while, and I finally got started. And that, of course, is my Weasley sweater. Okay, try not to dump it in the butterbeer. And I've shown previously that I was able to find some perfect yarn over at Knit Picks for my Weasley sweater, and that is their Wool of the Andes. So I got a whole bunch of this red. It's the Garnet Heather. I'm sure I have more than enough. I think I got 20 balls of these 50-gram balls. And this is 80% Peruvian Highland wool, 20% Donegal tweed. So it's 110 yards, 50 grams. So there's plenty there for a sweater. I'm making the sweater really oversized. I really like to have my sweaters loose and comfy. And this one is the Brass Heather that I'll use for my initial. And I think what I'll do, instead of doing it, doing the initial while I'm knitting it, I'll probably over sew the initial after I'm finished the actual sweater. So I got a few hours on this done. Again, I was working on this while cuddling Tawny while she wasn't feeling well, so it's kind of hard to do that when you're holding a cat, but got a little bit done at least, a start on it at least. So again, this is done in pieces, and then you sew up the pieces after you've completed all the parts. And the pattern I'm using for it is from my Charmed Knits book, and this one is the pattern right at the beginning of the book. So yeah, it's all done in sections. So I'm starting on the back to begin with. So I'm sure that will take me a while, but hopefully I'll have it finished by the end of March, because I've entered this into the Pen, Hook and Needles sweater shawl along that's running now until the end of March. So I'm thrilled to be able to enter it into that because the ladies over at Pen, Hook and Needles, Marlisha and Talia, are so very sweet, and I was really looking forward to be able to participate in another one of their knit-alongs. So that's, I think, it for knitting this past little while. But as I mentioned, I've been having a lot of fun doing some other crafts, and I thought I'd share that with you now. So for the year-long Harry Potter knit-along over in the Victorian Studio podcast group, in that thread I've got images of all the prizes that we have so far amassed for this knit-along. And as I mentioned on the first episode announcing this knit-along, I'll be doing draws every month as well as every 3 months, some special draws. So every month I was going to be doing draws for $10 or less Ravelry giftable patterns. Every 3 months I'll be doing draws for some physical prizes, and those physical prizes include 4 project bags, 4 sets of book markers and pouches, like stitch markers and pouches, 4 sets of charms markers, 4 tote bags, 4 Philosopher's Stone stitch markers, and some also, so far we have 2 skeins of yarn. The images are over there. And also there'll be some more yarn coming as well. And also there'll be some more prizes upcoming as well. So if you want to see the pictures of all of those prizes that I've announced so far, please head over to the Ravelry group and take a look at all of those photos there. So over the last few days, I've been catching up on making some more stitch marker sets, and one of them was the charms markers that I had made one set, and now I've made the other 3 sets. We have 4 of these, and these are the charms that I acquired through various people on Etsy. So there are 3 owls, a cauldron, the Deathly Hallows symbol, a chess piece, a lightning bolt, and the Progress Keeper is a an owl on a jewel there. So those 4 markers I've already announced before. Also, this is the set of books that I sculpted and put together in the pouches. So those 4 sets, those were done. And I put the final Philosopher's Stone Progress Keepers on their own cards. So those with the knitting stitch markers as well. So there's 6 stitch markers and the 1 Progress Keeper that I created from my sculpture and then did the epoxy casting of. So those 4 are done. And I made custom cards for each of these now saying what they are. So those ones are all ready to go. And let's see, yeah, those were the ones that I had already announced and shown how I had created them. And what I wanted to share with you today were 2 other sets that I had so much fun creating. Okay, so the first one is something that I was waiting for some little mugs, plastic dollhouse mugs from Malaysia, because, and this is why I have my very own butterbeer here, is I've made some Progress Keepers of butterbeer. And these I had so much fun creating. I'll put a picture here so that you can see it better. But these little dollhouse mugs I found on a little miniatures site from Malaysia, and these are what I was waiting for. So I got a whole bunch of them, basically bought them out of all the ones they had. And how I created these is I used some of the epoxy with some alcohol ink, and the alcohol ink, funnily enough, is named butterscotch, the color. And that's what butterbeer is. It's not beer, it's not alcohol, though some people do make it with some, I think, rum in it. But it's a non-alcoholic drink, even though it's called beer. It's like a butterscotch float. And this one is one of the recipes online that says it's very similar to the one that they serve at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Orlando, which is where I first tried my first butterbeer. So I wanted to do them, so because they were going to hang from the charm or from the links at an angle, I thought I would make them so that the butterbeer looked like it was almost pouring out with its foamy top. And this foamy topping is a special kind of whipping cream that just hardens on its own. I got a little tube of it from Japan, and it's what a lot of the miniatures people use for toppings, for frosting and that kind of thing, or whipped topping. And then what I did was I scanned the label on my own butterbeer mug here and miniaturized it and enhanced it a little bit to make the butterbeer labels on these tiny little ones. So I've created a few of these that I'll be giving away as prizes as well. So I hope everybody would love to win these. I've made a few up so far. I'll show you all of these that I've got on their cards. So I've got quite a few of them. And so these will be added to the prize pool. And also, besides having a their own custom card for each butterbeer, on the back is the butterbeer recipe that I used here today on my butterbeer. So actually, I haven't even tried this yet. I tried some of the ingredients when I was making it, and it was very simple to make actually. There's a few, quite a few ingredients in this version. There are so many versions online, some that use Werther's candies, but making this really reminded me of a recipe that I do every Christmas. One of my mom's recipes for Christmas dessert is a brown sugar sauce that we put over our Christmas pudding, and it reminded me a lot of that because it starts out with brown sugar and butter. So try it now, I guess. Oh, that's very good. I mean, anything with whipped cream has got to be good, right? It's also got cream soda in it, so it makes it a little bit sparkly, but it's really not as sweet as I thought it would be. When I was at Orlando, the one I had was the frozen version, and I'm sure you could freeze this as well to make it almost like a Slurpee. Oh, but this is really good. It foams up just on its own, and then you pop on some whipped cream, and I hope I don't have whipped cream all over myself on the top. So I'll enjoy the rest of that after the podcast, I'm sure. While I'm editing, that's going to be my treat. But I'm really glad I finally tried my very own butterbeer. So I hope whoever wins these little progress keepers will enjoy also having that recipe on the back of those. So those were a lot of fun to make. And I think I'll be making some more. Like I say, I've got lots of those little miniature mugs. So I think I'm going to be having a lot of fun making some epoxy drinks. So maybe besides butterbeer, I'll do some other things. So I'll have to think about that. The other miniature crafting that I was doing was making another, of course, Harry Potter related item so that I could make into some more progress keepers to give away as prizes. And when you talk about Harry Potter and candy, I think the first thing that comes to most Harry Potter fans' minds is the Birdie Bots Every Flavor beans. So I've created some progress keepers of those. And what I did was these, it's hard to see, I'll probably put some photos in there as well. These are all epoxied so that they won't come out. But basically it's the box that I downloaded the pattern for online and squeezed it down to the smallest size I could, printed it out. I put on some tape on the inside and outside so we have a little windows. And then I took some Sculpey clay and created some different jelly beans for inside. And then using glue, glossy accents, I poured that over so that they would all stay in there and also hold this eye pin so that you could use it as a progress keeper. So that was a lot of fun to do. So I've made a few of these as well, these Birdie Bots Every Flavor beans in their own containers, again on their own cards for prizes. So I hope the Harry Potter fans, or even if you're not a Harry Potter fan, you still might like some candy, some Every Flavor beans on your projects. So they were so much fun to make. And while I was doing these ones, I was trying to think of other ideas to make some other things to give away as well, and was playing some more around with my Sculpey and my modeling and mold making. So one thing I made, I don't know if I'm going to give these away or not, or I'm going to try a version 2, but this is what I created next. And this is a little sculpture that I did out of Sculpey and then baked it of a frog. And if you're a Harry Potter fan, you'll know where this is going. I wanted to make some chocolate frogs. Now, chocolate frogs are something, of course, in the Harry Potter stories that are little pieces of chocolate in the shape of frogs. And of course, in Harry Potter, the frogs come alive and they can jump around. And inside the box of chocolate frogs are collectible trading cards. So what I thought I would do is I would make this sculpture, little mini sculpture, and then created a mold with my mold, I think it's Mold Magic or Easy Mold. Easy Mold is the product that I used to make the mold. And then I was going to use epoxy and make them out of that. But then I thought, well, if I want it to look like chocolate, I had some brown Sculpey, so I thought I'd see how they look in the brown Sculpey. So I'll get one here that looks half decent. So I modeled these in the brown Sculpey to make it look like chocolate, and then just coated them in Varathane. So they are hard, and I think they do look like chocolate. Then I added the findings on them so that they can be used as progress keepers. But I'm thinking they might be a little bit big. They're very light, so they're not heavy at all. But I'm thinking I might do a version 2 with the frogs being a little bit smaller, maybe half the size. So maybe the next episode I'll show that. If I can sculpt another one and see if I can make it a little bit smaller. But it was fun though. Creating these ones, and who knows, I might give these away as prizes, but for now I just thought I would show you another Harry Potter candy that I'd like to award as prizes during the knit-along this year. So that was, a lot of fun to do. So before I get to the winners of the knit-along prizes for January, I thought I'd show you a couple of other things that I acquired over the last couple of weeks. I got one skein of yarn from Once Upon a Corgi. I love watching Gabby and her podcast, and she has some Harry Potter colorways, so of course I had to add her shop to the ever-growing list of Harry Potter yarn suppliers, indie dyers, over in the Ravelry group. So this is her Once Upon a Corgi, and the colorway is called Twilight is Fine, Even Better actually. And this is a quote by Ron to Hermione, and I thought that was very, very pretty. I love the blues and browns in this. And this is her ginger base, 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% gold stellina. Very, very pretty. So I'll add that to my ever-growing stash of Harry Potter yarns. Which reminds me, something I was doing on Ravelry I thought I'd share with you. I've shared previously how to add tags to your projects so that you can have tabs running across the top to organize some of your projects, either by year or maybe by project type. For example, on my Ravelry page, I have all my projects that I've done every year. So for projects that I'm doing this year, I have a tag in there that has 2017, and it adds it to that group. So if I want to see what I've done so far this year, I just have to click on that tag and see all my projects. It's also great for year end when you want to count up how much you've done. You can also do it by project type, like socks, like how many socks you've done since, whenever. So I thought I would do the same for my stash. And unfortunately, Ravelry has a little bit different options in the stash area of the of your own personal profile items. In their stash area, there is an option to put on tags on your stash, because what I wanted to do was to tag all of the yarns that I've collected so far that are Harry Potter related and put them all together in like a bundle. And so what I was hoping was to be able to do the same thing, have a tab across the top that would say Harry Potter yarns, and then it would just show me all of those. Unfortunately, it doesn't work exactly that way for stash. You can put a tag, but then if you want to see just those tags, you can filter your stash by those tags, and then see all the ones that are filtered with that certain item, for example, Harry Potter. So I thought I would mention that in case anybody else wanted to organize their stash or add tags to their stash filters so that they can see at a glance. Say you even want to, I don't know, maybe you have some yarn that you want to have you're collecting for a certain project. You could bundle them all that way using tags. And I've never done that before, so I thought I would mention that. So here's another one to add to that grouping of Harry Potter yarns that are getting larger and larger. That's for sure. So yeah, I thought I would just mention that. The only other thing that arrived in the mail, I've been waiting for quite a while. When I first started thinking about doing this knit along, I wanted to do something special for the envelopes that I'll be sending physical prizes out to. And online I saw there was a multitude of different Etsy sellers that would do custom stamps. And I really love the owl post stamp. And I found one, and I believe this was in Malaysia as well, doing a lot of Asian purchasing lately, but it's all been wonderful. No problems at all. But it did take a couple of weeks to get this. What you do is you choose a pattern or a design from their site, and then you send them what you want on the stamp, and they send you back a proof to approve before they make it up, so you know what it's going to look like and you're assured that it's going to be correct. And then once that's approved, then they make up the stamp and send it off to you. And it really didn't take much time for them to actually make up the stamp. The length of time that it took was mostly because of postal services, obviously. But I'm so thrilled to get this stamp, and if you do win something from the podcast for the Harry Potter Knit Along, you can be sure that the stamp will be adorning your envelope. And what it is, this is the stamp. It comes in two versions. You can either get it self-inking or just plain. And I wanted it plain because I wanted to be able to stamp it in different colors. But this is what it stamps. So I have my very own owl post address from the Victorian studio from Hogsmeade. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I love the way this turned out. It's beautiful quality. Wasn't expensive at all. And yeah, I'm really thrilled with that. So I'll link the Etsy seller that I purchased this from because I couldn't recommend them highly enough. They're wonderful to work with. So that was a lot of fun to get that and have something special on the outside of the envelopes when you win something from the podcast. Okay, and so it's time to announce the winners for January for the Harry Potter knit-along. So from January 1st to 31st, we had 428 posts in the thread. And thank you everyone for all your participation. We had works in progress, we have lots of chatter, we have finished objects. So for this month, I drew from all of the entries except for ones that, of course, I posted. So I had to go to random.org a couple of times because it did choose me a couple of times. So I thought I would give away 3 prizes for January. And the first one is for a $10 Ravelry giftable pattern that was generously donated by Christina or Mama C on Ravelry. So Christina, thank you so much for your generosity. It was very kind of you to donate this prize to the knit-along. And random.org then chose from posts 2 to 428, and the winner of this pattern is number 183, Kelly June. So congratulations. Get a hold of me when you see this, and I'll put you in contact with Mama C, and you can choose which pattern you would like her to gift to you. So thank you very much. And the second prize is a $10 Ravelry pattern that I donated. And again, from post 2 to 428. And the winner for this is post number 246, Martha Nell. So congratulations, Martha. Get a hold of me when you see this and let me know what pattern for $10 US or less that you would like. And I thought I would do a random drawing today from all of the posts, be them, finished objects, chatter, whatever. And I thought I would give away, in celebration of the Butterbeer Day today, one of the Butterbeer Progress Keepers. So that's going to come to one person with also the recipe to make their very own butterbeer. And the winner for that is post number 79, Ellie Jelly Bean. I guess I should have given Ellie Jelly Bean the Bertie Bott's Progress Keeper, but today it's a giveaway of the Butterbeer Progress Keeper. So every month I'll do a random miscellaneous draw besides the Ravelry patterns. So congratulations, Ellie Jelly Bean, for that. Let me know when you see this, and I'll get your address via PM from you and send that off to you. So congratulations. Congratulations to all 3 winners for January. At the end of February, I'll be doing some more drawings for both patterns and something else that I'll choose at random. And then at the end of March, we'll be starting to give away some of the larger gifts, or prizes, such as the yarn, the bags, and other stitch marker sets. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I think that's all that I have to share with you. I'll end today's episode, as usual, with some photos from the last couple of weeks. And also I thought, because it's so hard to see behind me here, I thought I would share with you just a very short video tour of my desk, decorated up in all of my Harry Potter and Gryffindor items. So I hope you enjoy seeing that. So I'll record again in 2 weeks' time, and I'll probably record again on the weekends. It's probably better for me to do this on the weekends now. I was finding it difficult to find time during the week to do it this week, so that's why it's a few days late, this episode. But I'll probably continue to do it on the weekends. So about 2 weeks' time, I'll have another episode, and hopefully to share with you some more of not only my knitting, but some other crafts. I hope you enjoy seeing those. I really enjoy doing them. I have a lot of fun creating all of these prizes. So until then, have a wonderful couple of weeks, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and spending time with me in my studio, and I hope you'll come again to visit me in my Victorian studio. Until then, bye-bye.